game week. Can you just walk us through what you're seeing from the team ahead of Friday's match?
Excitement. I think everybody's ready to go. It's been an extremely long preseason, which we knew it was going to happen based on last year. But I think everybody is excited to go and play.
Yeah, I guess on that note, you're playing a new team. Mm-hmm. What does that add? Is there any added mix having another in-state rival?
Yeah, it always does. I think anytime you play Austin, you play Dallas, there's some pride to be had with that game. But when you look at the season, you look at all of the new teams that have been included into the league. I think everybody's just ready to compete. It's tough because you don't have a lot of information on some of these new groups. But what we're going to see in this league is that I don't know that you can look at last year and see similarities with the turnover that you have in the second teams, the fact that there's new first-team players, younger first-team players that might be playing, there's better academy players that are aging into the second team. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting to see how every team comes out this weekend.
Use the raise your hand function if you have any questions. We'll close in with one more. Obviously, game week. Do you see any added fire from your guys as they prepare in training, or what have you seen from the team?
Yeah. I'm not the type of coach that allows them to just get fired up for game week. We've had games, right? And the message has been clear throughout preseason that every time we play, there's expectations, and we have an internal expectation for the group, and they have their own. So I think excitement is the word to use because what we feel is energy, right? And we're very fortunate to have a group that has energy every day they come out. Some unbelievable personalities in the group.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and questions. Manny, please go ahead.
Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Just touching about your expectations, there's a bunch of new people coming in, a bunch of, people coming in for the second season. Is there any expectations on any players to either step up or improve this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think to answer it in the way that you stated it, where it's to step up or improve or be a better version of themselves, I think that happens with every player. I think the key for us is making sure that we are continuing to push the improvement and the level of the players that have been with us because they understand more of the system and the culture and what the expectations are, and then merge the new guys into that as quickly as possible. Last year, everybody was new, so everybody was in a similar boat. Now, it's a little bit more responsibility on the senior guys, and by senior, I mean they've been here for a year, to guide the guys that are new into what success looks like for this group. So, it changes, and it's exciting because you're bringing in personalities that are adapting really well with some of the senior guys in our group, the guys that have been here for a year. And I will say that the quality throughout the group continues to improve, which is what we want. We've got players that are going on to their second year that are really pushing the level where last year they were trying to figure out their first professional season.
And knowing that this season is a little bit more different on the visual aspects, the Apple deal has now impacted MLX Pro in a better light. There's any organizational change or aspect of things with this deal for the youngsters?
As far as the content with Apple TV or things like that?
Yes.
Yeah, look, I think it's great. I think the access that people are going to have within the group, it's fantastic. I mean, nothing against the way the league was ran last year. I thought it was perfect for the first year. But now when we have more content, there's more MLS type atmosphere when it's a training, when it's with media, when it's with the content that the club and the league are putting out through Apple TV. I think that just adds another layer of development to these guys, because remember, our job is to close the gap. Well, yes, on the field, that's a massive role, but there's so many outside factors that these guys have to deal with. We are closing the gap to what it's to be like to be a first-team player. Plus, I got mic'd up today at training, which was funny. They had a good time with that. We're producing content through for the club, for Apple TV. And you can just sense the fact that like these guys feel it, right? They feel that, okay, the season's starting and this is a different league and there's new teams. So just something as funny as me having a microphone on, it changes the perception of, how important this is throughout the country.
That's all, Kenny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dustin, go ahead.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey.
Hey, I know you've talked about your friends with the coach at Austin FC too. Just curious, you've talked a lot about the players and the kind of the pathway that MLS Next Pro provides, but just curious your thoughts on like the coaches as well. I know you got the chance to coach the senior team last year, just kind of what it means for coaches and you having a staff and stuff, just as developing coaches too in the U.S.
Man, you guys are killing it today. This is great. It's a great question because coaching is an interesting art form, and Dan and I talk about this all the time. There's an art to coaching, tactics, technical improvement of players, building a plan. Those are things that, to be honest with you, you can go on Twitter and you can see tactical analysis of every team in the world and people's opinions. And the art to me of coaching is how do you get the most out of your players? How do you put them in the best situation? How do you give them enough information so that they can go out and perform without having to feel that they aren't prepared? There's a personal art to it. How do you create relationships with players from all over the world that have different experiences, that are at different stages in their life? And all of this is built around winning a game on the weekend, right? Getting that player to understand what they need to improve on. So that art form, it's not something that you can write down and you can say, this is the formula to be a good coach. I think everybody has to rely on their strengths and then hopefully bring in people that highlight their weaknesses. And so a lot of the experience for me last year was bringing in a staff that brought something different than I bring, that was on the same wavelength from a competitive standpoint that I was, but also that could push the group in ways that maybe someone else didn't see. And playing last year was fantastic because you're playing against Benny Fellhaber, you're playing against Wade in Tacoma, you're playing against all of these guys that have experience, not only as a player, but maybe as a coach. And we're all striving for the same goal. We want to win games, but we also want to develop players. So, having that camaraderie and having that ability to communicate and talk about the game is huge. And I think everybody's in the same boat this year. I know Brett at Austin has done the same thing. He is a big believer in the culture of a staff and what that brings to the players. And it's easy to write down a culture slide for a team and say, this is who we're going to be. But to me, it comes down to the coaching staff has to show what the culture is. And then the team can just replicate that. They can see that this is what the standards are. So this has been an unbelievable environment for coaches. Every week, you're playing against someone that could be a potential first-team coach. And, I was fortunate enough to have those experiences. And it helped me more than I recognized it while I was going through it.
Thanks, Kenny. Appreciate it.
No problem.
We'll close up with you, Jorge. Go ahead.
Hey, Kenny. How are you doing, man?
Mm-hmm.
Excited for Friday. What are your thoughts on Yair, Omar Gray, Isaiah, and those players that got called up to go up with the first team? Maybe have they practiced with you on the side? Just what are their expectations?
Yeah, look, my expectations are that, some of these guys, how do I say this the right way? I think that there are certain players that have been very successful at the level they're coming from. And then they step into this environment and they see what what's being built in this league and at this club. And it takes a little bit of a period of adaptation. My expectations are that they go out and they express themselves as much as they can. I want these guys to go out and enjoy the game, knowing that they were brought here because we see that they can be successful. Like Omar's a prime example. That he came in and within the first week adapted to the entire group. He's a big personality. He's a great player. He's got a lot to learn, and he's got a lot in his professional career to develop, but he embraces that. Isaiah Reed, the same. I think that he's a player that was the captain at Clemson to win a national championship. And I believe in college soccer, but that is no easy task. Like, to win a national championship in college soccer is huge. To be the captain of a team that does that is even better. To now bring that leadership that he's had for 4 years with that club and come in here and now find a way to adapt to be a leader here, that's huge. Yair, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't think anything's been announced yet. Same kind of thing. I think all of those guys, we really just want them to perform and enjoy it and understand that this is a process. It's 28 games this year. It's 28 games with one semi-weekend off. So we are playing consistently every week. To me, what you are going to see on Friday is the starting point to where we want to end. And I think we saw that last year where we had a bump in the road after the fifth game. And then we had a little bit of a bump again a couple weeks later. But what happened is we learned from that and we progressed. So for all of the guys, even Talon Maples, the expectations on Talon are a bit different, right? He's got expectations for himself this year. Some of these returning guys, it's really important that everybody understands Friday is their first test. We talk about training like this every day leading up to a game. It's about understanding and learning and developing and making mistakes and preparing for your test, which is the game. And I'm really excited because we know a little bit about Austin, not a lot. They know a little bit about us, but maybe not some of the new things. So going out on Friday in the first game of the league for the season, it's going to be an exciting one.
We'll wrap up with that. Thank you so much, Kenny. Thanks, everybody.